HCS Salt Lake City is around the corner. So here at the Global Gaming Network, we're doing another episode of Power Rankings to talk about the best Halo teams in the world right now that are going to be competing. Today, I'm joined with Nick, a.k.a. Thug Nasty, that knows his team pretty well. How we doing, Nick?
Doing great, man. Can't wait to go to Salt Lake City and get some more reps under the belt.
Yeah, I think SSG, Salt Lake City, they put on such an awesome venue for everybody. This is one of the premier events to go to in the HCS scene every single year. So I'm a little bit jealous. I won't be there, unfortunately, but I'll be watching from home, absolutely. But let's go ahead and talk about our formula that we use to devise these rankings. We have an expert consensus score, which covers 30% of the score. Then performance covers the other 70%. We've got a little mixture of their SLC qualifier, SLC opens, and then also their LAN series win percentages. So with that understood, we can go ahead and jump into number 1 on the list. We're going to go from 1 to 5. But I don't think this is going to shock anybody. The first team is going to be OpTic Gaming. They have a near flawless record at 99 is their points. This team looks unstoppable. They look like they're on the verge of perhaps one of the most historic runs we've ever seen. They look like a favorite to win every event this year. I mean, even in scrims, the only team they really lose to is Shopify. That's it. On LAN, they've only lost to FaZe. On LAN, they have only lost to Shopify in Winners Round 1. Yep. And then also in pools, lost to Nemesis and TSM. So this team barely has any weaknesses. Nick, can you name anything that's wrong with this roster?
No, not one bit, Eli. And before we actually get started, I do want to talk about how these are not our rankings. The ranking screen that we just explained does all of it. So save your hate for a later time, ladies and gentlemen out there. But let's get into it. OpTic, you have Formal, Renegade, and the legendary duo of Legend and Bound. They do not have a single weakness on that team. Just from scrimming them the other day, they are so objectively efficient. It's not even funny. They're not breathing down your neck. And even when they're in a disadvantage, they're in an advantage. They're scoring oddballs. They're capping flags. They're capping hills. They're doing it all. This is a new OpTic team, in my opinion, because they're not flying at you nonstop. They can, if they need to, in a given situation, but they're playing so patient, so mature. It's hard to understand and teach everybody else how to play like OpTic Gaming right now.
Yeah, and one thing that's scary about this roster, too, is the fact that it seems like they're getting even better. They previously would lose to Shopify a lot more. Now they're getting the better of Shopify more often than not, especially when it matters. You know, they 3-0'd them in the lower side at DreamHack. So we'll be keeping an eye on them to see if they keep getting better and better. But let's talk about number 2 on the list, and that's going to be Shopify Rebellion. Yes, they did stumble at DreamHack, falling in 4th place. Yep. However, I think they're still solidly in that 2nd place position. This team actually beats OpTic in scrims pretty frequently as well, and that's the only team they've lost to in scrims. They have played close against teams like Envy and a few others. C9, FaZe, C9. They did just play FaZe 10-6. Yep. C9 was 6-5, and then Complexity 9-5 in recent scrims. But this team can be a bit of a question mark. I feel like Last Shot needs to show up on Sunday. What do you think about this roster, Nick?
Yeah, no, with Frosty Royal 2, a legendary duo, longtime duo, and obviously proven that they can be at the top and win not just one, but multiple LAN events, adding 2 of the best rising stars in the game without a doubt, being Last Shot and Cycle. And they've shown up in a big way. But unfortunately, like you said, that big way has been online. When it comes to LAN, has been where the question marks start to arise against, and not necessarily just the 2 young guns, but sometimes Frosty, sometimes Last Shot, and not necessarily sure how that's going to change going forward. But like you said, 2nd at Arlington, looked great, lost to OpTic. 4th at DreamHack Dallas, not necessarily sure what happened in that first round, but then unfortunately losing to OpTic as they made that crazy losers bracket run. But maybe getting out of Texas is the option here for them to improve and maybe get a win under their belt. They are, in my opinion, the only team that has a real shot to take down OpTic right now. OpTic is in a league of their own, and that's why they were a score of 99. And let's not forget that they won that original invitational that FaZe put on, but OpTic, like you said, to the earlier point, have just continuously improved while everybody else is staying level keeled.
Yeah, and let's not forget that Shopify is the reason that OpTic have had to fight out of the lower bracket at the most of it, the last two events, because Shopify have defeated them in winners round 1 after the pool play shenanigans that go down. So I would just like to, we know they're capable to beat anyone. I would just like to see them put it all together and maybe take down OpTic. We'll have to see if they can. But let's get into the scoreboard once again. Number 3 on the list is going to be FaZe with a score of 79. And this team looks incredible. I feel like when they first formed, there were some question marks around them. They were losing to teams like Omit and C9 in the early goings when they first formed in those Open Cups. But now they look extremely strong. I think that they have been putting up a good fight against both Shopify and OpTic, and those are the only two teams they're really losing to right now. Trippy kind of reuniting with Lucid has been a big deal to me. I feel like both of them are playing incredible. What's your take on this team, Nick?
No, this team is looking incredible, and they're a fierce opponent. Everybody expected them to come out of the gate swinging, but you don't understand how changing half of your team will affect the entire dynamic. And they definitely had their woes early on, but now that they've got it clicking, they are clicking and looking better than ever. Like you mentioned as well, with the addition of Lucid and Snakebite, this is basically the new OpTic team with Snakebite instead of Formal, right? Some people would argue good at certain things and bad at others. Is it an upgrade? Is it not an upgrade? To be determined and to be debated, nonetheless. But Snakebite, I think, has been the one that during all of this roster mania from DreamHack Dallas to the Salt Lake City event has been one to really put his head down and get to work and show everybody, and this might be extreme bias, but he's the GOAT in my opinion, and he's going to show everybody this event why he earns that title in my book.
Yeah, I mean, Snakebite's one of those guys that you can never really count him out. I do think he was struggling for a bit, but he was, from what I've heard, testing a new controller and new settings, which, you know, if your muscle memory is ingrained, it can make you look pretty bad at the video game for a little while. But lately, he's been looking just fine on the new settings. He figured it out.
Yeah, this team obviously have not played a LAN together yet, but I think obviously with the amount of experience and the individuals on this team, they will have no problem translating that online success to LAN.
I look forward to seeing how well they do on LAN. They're in a tough bracket too, by the way. They signed up to be in a pool with Nemesis and TSM, so we'll have to see how that one shakes out. But let's go to number 4 on the list. We might have just spoiled it a little bit, but that's going to be Nemesis with a score of 67. This team to me is a bit of a wild card. We know that they've got the best mouse and keyboard player in the world, and that's Wootum, the young Finnish superstar, former Splitgate champion. But they're a wild card to me because they don't get to practice against NA teams very often. But they are here in the States now, and they've been looking pretty good the last couple of days.
Yeah, Wootum, the mouse and keyboard phenom, Glory, Snipe Drone, and SLC are looking better than ever. And unlike FaZe, they haven't made a roster change. And cohesion and consistency within a roster goes a long way. And with them being able to continue to get reps, continuing to improve together will be massive to them. They got top 6 at DreamHack Dallas. However, they fell to Shopify Rebellion, who we just touted through the roof just a couple of seconds ago. But they need to get top 4. And I feel like this is the event that they can do it in. And that next step that is going to help them through the roof is boot camping. They came down a week early to boot camp scrim US-based teams, and I think that's what's needed for them to take that next step. That's something that they didn't have the opportunity to do for DreamHack, but I think they're going to be able to squeak it out here.
Yeah, I mean, the last couple of days, I've been keeping an eye on their progress here in the States, and they actually beat Complexity 16-4.
That's not a beating, Eli. That is a beat down.
Yeah, that's very impressive to me. And Complexity have looked very good. So for them to defeat Complexity in that fashion was impressive. And then they started off pretty hot against FaZe just last night. They were actually up in the scrim. FaZe started to find their groove and ultimately won 8-4, but they still were very competitive in all the games. So
yeah.
And FaZe, like we said, I think pretty solidly in that 3rd place position right now. So for Nemesis to put up such a good fight is a good sign.
Yep, nipping right at the heels, no question about it.
Okay, well, I think we're going to be real excited to reveal the number 5 team on the list, and that is going to be Team Envy with a score of 65.
Woo! Sorry, I had to.
This is Nick's team, so of course he's very excited. I'm excited about this roster too. Some of my favorite people that I've had the pleasure to get to know in the scene. Descendant was someone that I coached back on G1 briefly, as was Precision. So to see them finally find a team that they feel comfortable with is really exciting. This team feels like their playstyles just mesh perfectly together. What is it from the coach's perspective on this team?
Yep, Eli, I think you said it best, and I was trying to avoid all your questions and talk about what I wanted to talk about, but I think you said it perfectly. It's even when there was roster rumors flying around, I think if any one piece of this puzzle wasn't here, we wouldn't be as good as we are. Everybody's flaws is picked up by somebody else's strength, and together we are just a great unit. And I do want to emphasize again, these aren't my rankings. I'm a realist. I have us as the number 3 team, right behind OpTic and Shopify. But the consensus, the expert rating, the this, the that, and everything else. But Piggy, Yaxon, I think are the 2 unsung heroes. Descendant and Precision get all the limelight. They hit all the crazy snipes. They're hitting all the doubles and triples and overkills. But Piggy and Yaxon spot on this team cannot be disheartened in any way, shape, or form. They are all amazing at the video game and helps. We've had amazing scrims over the past couple of months. Our Pro League season is going extremely well. We are having success in not only HCS sanctioned events, but having some fun in some Forge Hub tournaments as well and taking those trophies down. But the TSM Game 7 in the Pro League, 250-49s. We had one of the best Pro League series of the early season so far, and it's been great. And I think now that we've cemented ourselves as one of these top teams and are able to get quality scrims, we're going to keep improving. And that doesn't mean you stop scrimming us, everybody that's watching this video, because we're helping you as much as you're helping us. So it's helped us a bunch.
Yeah, I've been super impressed by the general performance of this squad. I think the only stumble that you guys had, I got to point it out, is in the qualifier, finishing 3rd. You did lose to Complexity and C9, which I think you guys were not happy about. But
not one bit. Not one bit. But yeah, it's like I said, we're 3rd for a reason. In my mind, not every day is going to be perfect, and unfortunately, that was an off day, and that's what had us finishing 3rd at that.
Yeah, like I said, the only stumble. Everybody has off days, so excited to see what you guys can do on LAN here next weekend. But there's an elephant in the room, I want to say, of a couple honorable mentions we want to bring up. So the first honorable mention is going to be SSG. So this is a team that a lot of people probably think belong in the top 5, maybe if you've been watching for a long time. But recently, and according to the experts that we polled, they haven't been looking great. They look to be struggling. They're actually 1-3 in the LVT Pro League. Their first win coming just last night in this series on your screen against Complexity. But I don't know, man. It feels like they haven't really found their form. What do you think's been going wrong with this roster?
I'm not so sure either, Eli. And unfortunately, they had the exact opposite thing that FaZe had. FaZe came out struggling and has improved and look amazing. However, Shopify or SSG has done the opposite. They came out strong with that roster change. Honeymoon was looking amazing, and something just isn't right. I don't know if it's they're not clicking as a unit, the play style, the speed at which they want to play, the play calls, the coach. I have no idea what it is, but this team has so much talent on it. To see them struggling right now is honestly mind-blowing to me. And every time we play them, it's like you see the flashes of brilliance and the great gameplay that can come out of this team. But when you put it on a larger scale and a larger sample size, it just unfortunately doesn't work.
Yeah, I've been keeping a keen eye on them as well. I almost suspect that they're just like overthinking. Because this is a team that if they just turn their brain off and trust their instincts, they have some of the best instincts in the business. So I think that maybe when you introduce like differing ideas amongst the players, now they start to overthink and change the way they want to play. I don't know.
Yeah, in this again, I want to say, if this team gets top 4, it won't surprise me one bit, and it'll almost feel expected. However, currently, recency bias is strong, and I'm just not seeing it with this team right now.
Yeah, I think they can figure it out, and I do think they're going to get a buff on LAN. So we'll have to see and track their progress going into the next event. But there's one more honorable mention, and that's going to be our dark horse pick for the event, and that is Complexity, team that we just saw playing against SSG in some of those clips. Complexity have been extremely impressive. I mean, first of all, King Nick has been playing lights out. This guy Cherished, I mean, he has really leveled up his game. I spotted him octagoning against Legend for like an hour yesterday, so he's clearly challenging himself, and it's paying off. But also Ryan Noob has been insane. What do you want to say about this team, Nick?
Yeah, this roster has everything from top to bottom, and this roster actually reminds me of event number 1 SSG with the amount of brains versus brawn that they have on their team, and I feel like it's a perfect mix. With this team, you have Ryan Noob and King Nick. Everybody knows Ryan Noob for how he plays the game, how he wants to attack the game. He wants to 3v1 split off spawn, things that he wants to do. But back when I coached King Nick, this guy understood the game inside and out, top to bottom. He may not have been the most vocal in and or out of game, but he gets it and understands it and knows how to help his team succeed. And then Mental and Cherish just have to shoot their gun. And as we can see here, they know how to shoot their gun. And that is helping them be able to focus on their gameplay and not necessarily in the past where Cherished, even on our teams in the past, has had to be the IGL. He's had to be the one to speak up. So the fact that he could take a back seat to this and be able to just play his game, I think has helped him immensely. And then not to mention Ash as being the mastermind coach behind all this is just, it's a scary, scary team when you look at everything on this team.
I have to agree. I feel like they play a style that a lot of other teams are not used to playing against because it is so unique and different, and they're willing to try things and go against the grain. So
yeah,
we'll have to see if that play style really pays off. I would not be surprised if this team randomly shows up in the top 4 either. I mean,
yeah, and that's where it's like I expect them to upset a team or two, but can you really even call it an upset with how well they've been playing lately?
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be really fun to watch regardless. Ryan Noob has really stepped up his game, but I feel like King Nick is just one of those guys. He just wins his pivs. And like if you just have a guy that always wins his pivs, he's going to open up the map. So
yeah, the amount of perfects that King Nick gets is like astronomically 4x anybody in second.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to do it for our Halo Infinite Power rankings. We hope you've enjoyed the show. We hope you're going to watch Salt Lake City as well. Root on our boy Nick here, who's going to be coaching Envy. They're going to have a fun run at it, but we've got plenty more Power Rankings episodes on the way as well for all of your other favorite titles. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you guys in the next one.